in this competition is already a world champion.
Symmetry is an encompassing package. It encompasses...
Wow.
Cool. Now, how long did you have your gym over there?
So we opened in 1986, and the gym, I sold it in 1992.
Mm-hmm.
I sold my part in the gym. I was part owner.
Okay.
And then Brian Buchanan and a few other champions of that era came to see me, in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a guy, I don't know if you remember him, Akim Albrecht.
Akim, yes.
Akim.
Yes.
Akim won the 1990 Universe in the heavyweight. And so, yeah, it must have been 1991. And then Brian Buchanan came. I had Francis Benfato.
Right.
And I had my idol, Reg Park,
Wow.
who came 2 times to visit me.
Oh, that's pretty
And
cool.
we trained
Yeah.
together. So I have great memories
Yeah.
Right.
in that gym. And Jean-Pierre, of course.
Sure.
Jean-Pierre trained there
Mm-hmm.
many years, actually. He loved the gym.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
great gym. Great
Be
gym.
talking Olympia 2000, I assume.
Oh, yeah, he is. Here we go. Hey, JP.
So we're just waiting on Ian, but he'll be on shortly, I'm sure. For just for those people that don't know you, Francois, you're one of Switzerland's greatest natural bodybuilders. I think you won the Switzerland like 5 times, Mr. Switzerland.
Yeah, the IFBB, Mr. Switzerland,
Mm-hmm.
in the heavyweight. I won it 5 times.
Okay.
83 to 86. And then in 1990, once more.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost 1 time. I was runner-up to Jean-Luc Favre, who became a very successful bodybuilder later. He won the Universe in Paris in 1989.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
And he went on to compete at the Olympia in 1990. And I think he did the Night of Champions in 91 or 92. And I remember seeing him posing to next to Dorian, and he looked pretty good next to Dorian Yates.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I lost to him, but yeah, I won it 5 times.
Wow. And how many Mr. Universe titles do you have?
Actually, only, I won it.
92, right?
Yes. So
Okay.
the IFBB, I placed second
Mm-hmm.
in 1986 to Ralph Muller.
Okay.
And then I placed 5th, I placed 8th, and I placed 2nd at the World Games in 1989. And then I switched to the natural organization called the WNBF.
Mm-hmm.
And I won it in 1992 in a town called Flint in Michigan. It
Yeah.
was not a very prestigious venue.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's a popular town right now, Flint, Michigan. They have their own
Is
TV. Yeah, yeah, they had their own TV show about it's something to do with their water or something like that.
Okay.
Their water was contaminated, and yeah, the whole town got sick.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was on the news for a while. Anyways, Ian, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah,
How
all
you
right.
doing, buddy?
I'm doing good.
Hi, Ian.
Hello, how are you, sir?
Nice to meet you. Very good.
Nice to meet
And
you
you?
I know all about you. I don't know your whole career story, but I definitely know who you are. And
Oh,
what
come
you
on,
look
man.
like.
So I'm gonna
I
put
know
up
who you are for sure.
I'm gonna put up your little posing video here, Francois. And I know the question that everybody wants to ask is, oops, that's the wrong one. Where'd it go? Oh, there you are. How old were you here, and what did you weigh? That's going to be like the main question.
Oh, really? I was 39.
Wow.
No, sorry. It was in 1988, so I was 29.
29.
And I weighed about 97 kilos,
Okay.
which is about, I guess, 215 pounds.
Okay. How tall are you?
So I am 1 meter 76. I don't know in feet. Is it-
Jean-Pierre, can you translate that?
Well,
Is
he's
it fi-
5'7", 5'8", 5'9".
Okay.
You know, yeah.
And these training, these workouts you're doing are some old school you don't see a lot of anymore.
Real work.
Yeah. I remember not being very happy with the reflection in the mirror that day. I felt I was not looking good, but
I have that problem a lot. Yeah.
Hey, every morning.
but it's a strange thing because when I look at those pictures and those films 20 years ago, I thought I looked like crap, you know. And then looking back now, I think I look pretty good. So, you know what I mean?
I think we all do that.
yeah.
Yes, I think we
I
all
do the
do
same
that.
thing. I've
Yeah,
done the
because
same thing.
in those days we were so focused on looking better and better,
Absolutely.
and then we never were satisfied
No, you
with
never
the way
could
we
appreciate.
looked.
You never could appreciate where you were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got many compliments for the way we looked, but ourselves, we never thought we looked good, right?
Yeah.
That's
Very
very
true.
true.
Very, very
And then
true.
now when I look at those pictures, I say, well, I look pretty good.
About a year ago, in the Muscle and Fitness, they had, maybe it was 1.5 year ago, a series about retro fitness. And there was an unbelievable picture of myself in it on the rowing machine, seated rowing. And I remember when the picture came out in '96, I called the headquarters of Wieder and I complained that there was another picture taken from the other side. And this was my weak side. So I was very outraged.
Yeah,
So I look
that's
at the picture
typical.
now
Yeah.
and it's just fine, you know.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
Crazy. Yeah. I think when the whole time I was competing, there was one picture I liked of myself. You couldn't see my face. My head was down like this with my arms crossed. And now I look back and I've got a load of pictures from magazine covers and stuff. And I do exactly the same. Like, you know what? I wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Even though I thought I was terrible, I wasn't that bad. I was pretty good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I guess, you know, that's kind of what made each of us, you know, as good as we were, because we had that really critical eye.
You were never satisfied, so sure.
But then you'll see other people that'll brag about how good they look, but when you look at them, you're like, So I'd always rather be on the other side of the coin, where you always look at yourself and you're striving for more and better than the other side.
Check this
I
young
only
guy
knew-
out. Y'all recognize him?
Oh God.
Oh yeah. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
this the other day.
Beijing. Was that Beijing?
Some-
Oops.
That was Shanghai in '94.
Shanghai.
Yeah.
How old are you there, jump here?
24.
Yeah.
So the main fear of my whole delegation was that nobody believed I can pass the drug test. Although it's not a drug test in like Frost was Federation. It's you know, it's a drug test, IFBB drug test, but nobody believed I will pass. And thank God I did.
Let me ask you, what was the test? Was it your analysis?
Urine, yep. And you know how we did it. We just stopped every medication right on time, but you can never be certain.
Right.
Yeah, I went with the testosterone really till 3 days before, and my national coach, Harry Derglin, he was crying still at the airport. He said, "This will never work." And I say to him, "Don't worry, Harry, they only choose 5 out of each category. How big is the chance they choose me?" So my number was pulled the first. Yeah. And I went over to the office where they drug tested, and I met for my very first time somewhat famous bodybuilder Roland Kitchinger. I'm sure you guys remember.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he was already in the magazines quite a lot. You know, nobody ever seen anything of me. And I asked him, I said, so I seen him already without a shirt, and I already knew that the chance I'm beating him is about by 1,000%. And I asked him, I said, so what do you think, you know, how you see yourself here at the Mr. Universe? And he's like, oh, I have no doubt I will win this, you know. And I never heard such an American confidence, you know. I mean, in Switzerland, you kind of approach this a little different. You're like, well, let's hope for the best, and maybe, and, you know, I can make the finale, or, you know, at least that's what most of us, the way most of us are. And I said to him, I said, I don't know. I don't think you will win this. And he's like, well, if I'm top 3, we'd be okay with that, you know. So he placed 15th. I won the show. It was a great event.
Oh dear.
Footage you've seen there, you know, that was the first time in my life where I was kind of somewhat hard. But again, you know, this was the finale. The pre-judging was the day before. And like I was talking to you guys before, I again used my famous Barry Dumay handbook, you know, which totally didn't work for me. I was a total water balloon the day before. I was clearly the best bodybuilder on stage, but I was not leading because other people were much drier. So I went back to the room, and they told us that if anybody makes drastic changes and looks much better in the finale, we will retest you, and you can still be disqualified. So I asked my national coach, Harry, I said, so what are we going to do, you know? It's a little water. He says, we got to pose all night. I say, what do you mean pose all night? Yes, you're going to pose for 8 hours without a break.
Oh my God.
I said, really? And we went to the room, and he was counting to 10, and we posed through for like 9 p.m., 6 a.m.
Wow.
And I finally hard at 6 a.m. Finally was.
Gosh. Wow.
So you went all night posing? All night?
All night.
Wow.
So then normally how the finale works, you know, they put the top 5, or I think back then was top 6 on stage, and then it's 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and give the trophy and get out. So there's no more comparisons most of the time. Mm-hmm. So they put us all 6 up there and then started comparing again. So I knew this is good, you know. So I had the same amount of points like Alberto Kleos, who's a bodybuilder from Cyprus, who won the overall the next year. Mm-hmm. And I had 1 more first place, and one more first place with the same amount of points. So and I, you know, when you look at that footage now, it's I was very decent, but I hated everything about me. I lost so much weight, and I didn't feel like this is me, and I was almost embarrassed to even be on stage with like 240, 245, and like we just discussed before. Today this looks all a little bit different, you know. Today it looks all good, you know.
Hey guys, here's a question: does the IFBB World Championship still exist? You know?
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, it's the Elite League. Correct.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they still have a world championship. I mean, it's, of course, it's never what it used to be.
Where's it held? Where's it held at?
Somewhere in Europe.
Oh, okay.
You know, so but you know, it was by far the biggest, beside the USA Championship, amateur championship in the world back then, and often people who won the overall of the universe were in the finale of the Olympia a year or two later.
Yeah.
So yeah, the overall winner even qualified directly for the
Olympia. Yeah.
Yeah. And remember, it's Bob Paris and Mike Christian, Achim Albrecht, you know, Peter Hansel. They were all top 10 at Olympia a year or two later.
Yeah.
Spani won the universe. Labrada. I mean, incredible names came out of that, and I will never, for the love of God, never understand why we don't do it this way anymore, where you just send the best of the best. We talked about it before, to the pro league, and
That's how it should be.
Yeah, that way you'd only get a handful of pros a year.
Absolutely.
Right, exactly.
And,
Francois, sorry, I have a question for you.
Yep.
So who was dominating the IFBB when you were coming up?
You mean worldwide or?
Yeah, worldwide.
I mean, you know, the pros of the 80s. I mean, I was there was one thing I was always looking forward to was muscle fitness every month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we would wait at the newsstands and buy muscle fitness, and then see all these, you know, champions of the 80s. Like, I'm just giving you names like, you know, Roy Callender, even Frank Zane. Arnold was actually already gone. You know, his last show was 1980.
Right.
But yeah, so
who was your inspiration?
So when I first started, I had, you know, no clue about nothing. And then the first bodybuilder I actually saw in a gym in Lausanne, in the French part of Switzerland, was Dave Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember Dave Jones.
No,
Dave Johns.
Yes.
Johns.
Johns.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yes. And he was amazing. He was incredibly thick, strong, and I was so impressed. And then I saw Bertil Fox,
right?
You know, and all these guys, and then, but my big inspiration was actually Reg Park, and I will tell you why. Because I was 21 years old, and I'd made a bad experiment with steroids, with a drug named Dynabol, which you all know. And then I didn't take much of it, but after making after having my blood work done, the doctor told me that some things were not okay, and that my whole body reacted quite strongly to that drug. And he said, stop immediately. And I said, but what should I do? Should I keep training? He said, of course you keep training, but you know, don't take that drug anymore, and keep training, and you'll improve. You're young, you know. You've got plenty of hormones in your system, you know. So I was a bit disoriented and a little bit disappointed, because I came to bodybuilding to change actually my lifestyle. As a teenager, I used to smoke, I used to drink, I used to do the stupid stuff, and then for me, bodybuilding was a sport of health, you know. And then I was misled by my first coach. He was actually not a coach; he was the gym owner, and he was giving steroids to all the guys in the gym.
Yeah.
Not giving, selling.
Selling. Yeah.
And then I heard of a guy in town who was in favor of natural bodybuilding. He said, you don't need drugs to become a good bodybuilder. You know, if you have the willpower, if you have the passion, And if you have, you know, maybe a little genetic, you can become a very good bodybuilder without drugs. And I was so skeptical, and I thought, you know, I'm not sure, you know. And he said, I have only one way of proving it to you. And then he took that old book of his shelf and opened that book and showed me a picture of Reg Park. And I had no clue who Reg Park was. So he gave me a little bit of history, you know. He said, this is the famous Reg Park, 3 times NABBA Universe winner. He was an actor and he's still in good health. And this is how he looked before steroids were used by athletes. And Reg was 225 or even heavier than that, a little smooth, but looking great, you know. 20-inch arms and, you know, huge chest and broad shoulders, strong legs. And I thought, wow, this is what I want to look like. And he said, well, if he did it, why can't you, you know? So this is how my journey started. And I said, I'm going to do that. You know, if everybody says around me, it's not going to work, I'll do everything to make it work. So Reg Park was my first inspiration. Yeah.
Well, obviously you made it work. So.
Yeah, somehow, you know.
Somehow,
I of course I could have been bigger but I couldn't. I don't think I could have done it without resorting then to drugs, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I had to accept at some point that I was not going to go any bigger than what I was. And my contest weight was around 200 pounds, which is not a lot, but it was what I could get.
Now, what's the heaviest you were ever?
I was off season 225.
Okay.
And a little smooth, but still okay, looking okay. And for a contest, I would come down to 200, 205. I always competed as a heavyweight, so I had to make sure that I wouldn't drop under 200 because I felt that the competition was sometimes harder. I would have to meet with guys like Phil Williams under 90 kilos, right?
Under 90, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And the light heavyweight was a very tough class.
Yeah.
And the heavyweight was sometimes a little bit weaker. So I always thought I had my best chances competing as a heavyweight.
Interesting.
If you think about it, you know, when you competed with 200, you were just 2 pounds over the limit of the light heavyweight, and that was a very smart move. And,
right.
You know, when I think of Francois is probably going to be bored by the story, but nobody else heard it. And as a lot of people know, he was my first inspiration and the first real bodybuilder I saw. He came to my hometown in 1982, I believe. And it was a disco event where 3 bodybuilders, local bodybuilders, could pose with the best bodybuilder of Switzerland. That is how it was advertised. And I was so in awe. I never seen a man this huge. And although even if he tells us he was only 225, to me it was 525. When I saw that man, he was so huge. Then later in my environment, Francois became somewhat controversial. Because of course he was advertising natural bodybuilding, what he totally believed in. And when I look at his progression, I absolutely 1000% today convinced that he is a natural bodybuilder. Because back then, because we had to distract from our own failure at the beginning, we made up every excuse in the book that Francois has to take something, and we needed proof in any way. And I remember at the Swiss Championship where Francois won the heavyweight and Cedric McMillan won the junior title. I don't remember exactly what year that was. I found a way to sneak backstage to see Francois pump up. with my friend Philip. And when Francois was pumping up, you could see a little vein on his forehead because he was so ripped. And that was the proof to us that he is not natural. That told us everything we needed to know, that he's lying and not like all of us, you know. And it's just absolutely incredible. You know, I don't know if I could have done it in any way, although my genetics is of course, just as good, if not better than Francois was. But what we always strived off is, at least I speak about myself, is the next cycle, the next improvement, the next push. And if that push wouldn't be there, I don't know how those guys keep motivated. It's incredible. I mean, I wish I could have done it. Unfortunately, I didn't. But yeah, he was my first inspiration. And it's hard to believe now when he says he was 225 pounds when we met, because I looked at it as an immense, huge man, you know, like a 300-pound guy. So yeah, that's kind of how we met the first time in 1982. And then to place second at the Universe, where everybody is pretty much cheating other than him, that's quite incredible. I mean, nobody could have complained if he won. He was of way better, he was way better conditioned than Ralph Möller, the winner. You know, but you know, I still believe today he should have won. And incredible, absolutely incredible, the career he had. You know, when you say, Jason, he was the best natural bodybuilder of Switzerland, he was probably a top 3 bodybuilder of Switzerland in general, natural or not. You know, it's absolutely incredible the career he had as a natural bodybuilder in the real IFBB and then in his natural federation.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Really is incredible.
Thank you very much.
What was that, Ian?
Yeah, that's incredible to compete with athletes that are taking stuff and be natural is an incredible achievement. I've got to ask you, Francois, do you really think Reg Park was natural?
Yes, I do.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Yeah, absolutely do. I know that a few of these old timers like Bill Pearl and John Grimek, I've heard, you know, of course, I can't speak for them, but I've heard that they at some point had tried some steroids. But speaking of Reg, knowing him and you know, spending so much time with him, I'm so convinced that he was a lifetime natural bodybuilder.
That's very impressive. I don't know if you know, but Reg Park's originally from Leeds, which is my hometown where I grew up.
Exactly. I made some research and I heard that you too are from Leeds.
Yeah.
And I was with Reg touring England, and I slept actually in his childhood home. His mother was still alive, so I had the great honor to meet her too. And I slept in the same room he grew up as a kid, and I was so excited to be there, you know, with him. And then I couldn't sleep. And then I don't know why, but I found that shoebox under the bed. And in that shoebox, there were pictures of Reg and Arnold, and I spent the whole night watching at those pictures. And I spent the greatest time on the road with Reg. We were giving workshops and seminars all around the UK for about 2 weeks.
What year was that, if you don't mind me asking?
In 1987.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes, so Reg came to Switzerland first. He coached me for the Mr. Universe, which was in Madrid that year. And then he came to Madrid, coached me. And I mean, I realized when, you know, walking in the hotel lobby with Reg by my side, what a legend he was. I knew he was a legend, but everybody was looking at him, and asking him for his autograph. And I mean, he was so humble, and he was so generous and such a nice man,
Sad that I never got to meet him. 1987 was the year before I had my first big win as a junior in NABBA. I won the NABBA Junior Mr. Britain in '88, and then got my pro card in '89. But yeah, I never got to meet him. But my grandfather was a big fan of his. They were from Leeds too, and that's kind of what inspired me to get involved with bodybuilding.
Oh, I see.
So, what was Reg living in South Africa by then? Had he come back to England?
Yeah.
So, he lived in South Africa. He met his wife, Marion, while doing an exhibition tour. I don't know exactly when, but I guess in the early 80s. And then he met his wife. She was South African. She was a ballet dancer.
Oh, right.
Yes, a very
They were married a long
beautiful lady.
time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if you heard that, but Reg told me that story that his wife, Marion, said, you bodybuilders, you build those incredible physiques, but when it comes to show them, you should do it in a more artistic way. And I would suggest you use music.
Really? Wow.
Yes. And Reg said, you mean posing to music? And she said, of course. And then I don't know if it started the whole thing, but Reg told me that story, and that must be, very early. They met. I don't know when they met. It must be before the 80s, because, of course, bodybuilders were posing with music in the 70s. So it must be before that.
It says here they were married from 52 to 07 when he died.
Oh, you see. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let me ask you, Francois. His son has a gym, John. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, John, exactly. John is as a gym in LA, I guess.
Yes, LA County somewhere. I want to say Burbank, but I might be mistaken. So
yes,
but somewhere in the LA County area.
And I will meet John in January, because he wrote a foreword in my book, and I want to give him a copy of the book.
Okay.
And tell him a few stories about his dad, the things I lived with his dad, and John is a very nice young man. I mean, young man, he's 60 now, but
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to see them in World Gym together. I used to go to World Gym, and it was on in Venice.
Yes.
The second World Gym.
The second World Gym.
Yeah, and I used to go upstairs and I see them in the mornings.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I got to know him a little bit, not very well, but we talked a few times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, nice guy.
Very, very nice guy.
That's fascinating. That's some serious history right there. That's the beginning of it all, right? That's the beginning.
Now his son never got into bodybuilding, John?
So his son was an Olympic swimmer.
Okay.
John was a very good swimmer. He swam at the Olympics for South Africa.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he had a great physique. I mean, I made pictures of John in his garden in 1988 in LA, and next to his father, and you could see the genetics right there. Like Arnold and his son, the same lines, the same symmetry, the great legs, the diamond-shaped calves. Everything was there. He could have been a great bodybuilder, but I don't think he wanted to go. He didn't want to touch steroids in any way, shape, or form, and he didn't see a real chance for him to make it as a bodybuilder. So he opened his gym, and I think he's a good friend with Arnold.
Yeah.
And so he became a very successful personal trainer or coach.
Yeah.
And I think he still does coaching.
He has his own studio.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he opened a gym. I think when I met him, it was in Beverly Hills. And it was called Private Exercise or something like that. And so you could only go there as a client if you had a personal trainer. And he was training his own clients as well.
Yeah.
In his gym. Yep.
Now, let me ask you, what year did Reg pass away? Do you know?
I think in 2007.
7.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you said he was 80 or 79 when he passed.
Yeah, I think he had skin cancer.
Yeah. He was kind of tall, 6'1" for a bodybuilder.
Yes.
Too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tall.
Yeah, and he was, I think, the first bodybuilder to bench 500 pounds.
Wow.
He was strong, naturally strong, you know. Yeah, Reg was an incredible guy.
He had a gym in Leeds, didn't he, at one point?
Excuse me?
He had a gym in Leeds at one point.
I think so, yes. And he had also a chain of gyms in Johannesburg.
All right.
Yeah, so he was actually one of the first gym owner. You know, it was the apartheid regime in South Africa. So he opened the doors of his gyms to anybody, and it didn't matter what color you were. He said, if you behave, you can come to my gym and train.
That's cool. That's really cool.
And I remember one day there's a funny story. I was training at World Gym one morning, and then Joe Gold came to me and he said, you've got a call from Reg Park, so come to the office. So Reg was on the phone and he said, you want to meet my idol? And I said, Reg, you have an idol? I don't believe that. And he said, yes. You want to meet him? I said, of course. So meet us for breakfast at the Holiday Inn on Pico Boulevard. We wait for you. So I went there, you know, all sweaty from my workout. And then I had the privilege and the honor of meeting John Grimek, who was Reg Park's idol.
Wow.
That was a very, a moment I will never forget. Yes.
Crazy.
What was he like?
Oh, very nice. Very nice and full of life, full of vitality. He was in his late 70s.
Yeah.
So I was sitting next to Reg, and John was in his, just across me, across the table, wearing a nice suit. He looked very elegant. You could see his pecs, stretching his shirt, you know. I mean, he was in good shape. And then Reg said to me, you know, ask him something about bodybuilding, whatever, you know. And I was a bit shy. And I said, oh, Mr. Grimek, so do you still train? Which was a stupid question because obviously he trained, but I didn't know any better to ask him if he still trained. And he said, yeah, of course I'm training. Actually, I did 315 on my squat yesterday. So yeah, he had a lot of humor and he was funny, interesting. Yeah, very nice man.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you know, he was the first AAU Mr. America winner. Remember, the AAU was real
Oh,
big
yeah.
back in the,
yes.
back in the day.
What year was that?
42, I believe.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I believe so.
That's going all the way to the beginning.
Yeah, one of the first AAU Mr. America.
Yeah.
And wasn't he also a weightlifter at the beginning?
Back then, I think to compete in Mr. America, you had to do both.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't just bodybuilding, it was weightlifting along with bodybuilding.
Right.
Yeah.
Other sport has changed.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Yeah, even from my era, I mean, it changed tremendously from then.
Absolutely.
It's great that it started out with natural bodybuilding though and health. I mean, that's I'll be honest with you, when I first started, that's what I wanted. I remember saying to my father, who's actually here right now, I said to him, when I when I compete, I want to be the first ever Mr. Olympia to not have taken steroids.
Wow.
That's what I wanted. That was my goal. And I held out as long as I could until I realized that I probably wasn't going to be able to compete on a level playing field with some of those guys. But you know, I've got nothing but respect for that. I think that's really how bodybuilding should have been all along. Yeah. I wish steroids never existed.
Yeah. You know, I always respected everybody who is a bodybuilder, because it doesn't matter if you take that route or that route, we all have the same passion.
Oh, I agree.
We have the same mentality, you know. We want to be as big as we can, as strong as we can, as ripped as we can, you know. Mm-hmm. And some people go one way, some people go the other. And I never actually judged anybody for, you know, going that way or choosing to stay natural or to take steroids. For me, it didn't matter. And my idols, some of them, the people I looked up to, I knew probably were taking stuff, but I didn't care. For me, they were still champions.
Oh, I agree.
And they would have been incredible natural champions.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, when Ronnie Coleman says he was natural until he won the world championships, I mean, I believe him.
Yes, sir.
He was incredible, and he was probably taking nothing, you know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it doesn't matter. We all the same. We all passionate. We all have that passion for the sport of bodybuilding, and I never made a difference, you know. Yeah. And that's something I don't like about sometimes natural bodybuilders saying, "Oh, we are the real deal." No.
I agree.
We all champions. It doesn't matter what we do, what choice we've made. We made it for a reason. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so that was also always my way of seeing things, you know.
Francois, do you keep up with the current bodybuilders today? So
for a long time, I lost track a little bit of the whole scene. When I retired, mm-hmm. I did my last show in 1999, and then for some reason I lost a little bit of interest. Mm-hmm. Of course, I would know who won the Mr. Olympia and mm-hmm. who was the Arnold Classic winner, and for some reason I am more connected to the IFBB and the big guys than to the natural scene. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, you know, I always wanted to be as big as possible. Mm-hmm. And I was also always inspired by the big guys.
Yeah.
And but there are some incredible natural bodybuilders out there, and which I admire a lot, but I'm following more the other scene. And I must say that the Mr. Olympia season is always very exciting, and I'm very impressed mm-hmm. by the amount of new guys coming up, you know. And
well, I'm sorry, that was my next question. How do you feel the direction of it's going now from when you started? So I'm just amazed by the incredible size of these guys. You know, they are so round. They all have those incredible quads that we didn't see in the 80s or 90s. You know, mm-hmm. we had Tom Platz. Remember, mm-hmm. we had Tom Platz, and we had Paul De Mayo and a few guys with incredible, and Jean-Pierre and Yan. But anyway, so now they all have incredible legs, mm-hmm. and they all have incredible traps. So they look very alike in a way.
Yeah.
And a few of them still retain a nice lines and good aesthetics. But if I can notice something going maybe in the wrong direction, is a loss of aesthetics, you know? They look very blocky to me.
Very much so.
They look blocky to me, you know? I have you feel in front of me, and I was looking at your pictures today, and man, those lines, you know, these tiny waist.
Yeah.
You don't see that anymore. On a few guys, you do, you know.
Yeah.
We had Dexter Jackson. We had, you know, Sean Roden, the late Sean Roden, rest in peace. So a few guys, but all in all, I must say that they all look kind of blocky to me, you know.
Yeah. They're very similar on stage when you see the lineup, and they all hit a pose. They all stand the same. There's no twist. There's nothing unique about each individual. They
exactly
all do the same thing, and they do it the same way, which is kind of weird to me.
That's also something I realized when I'm sorry, I pressed some. Oh, okay. When you look at those guys standing relaxed or semi-relaxed, let's say, their arms are so wide out, almost horizontal. Oh no, I don't like that anymore.
Invisible lat spread, we call it.
Yes.
Invisible, yeah.
And then you look at you know, at one of my first heroes, Serge Nobret.
Oh, beautiful.
And the way he stood on that stage, so elegant and so aesthetic.
Absolutely.
I miss that. I must say I miss that.
Sure do. So do I. Just beautiful lines. I mean,
yes.
We train for beauty, not just size. We train for beauty. That sounds funny saying that today, because I could say that and they would go, beauty, you know.
Right. No, but you're right.
Yeah.
I do not let my athletes stand in this flying position there.
Very good.
Here in 2013 or whatever, I was just practicing for a half an hour with my over 60 athlete from the Nationals last weekend, because he had another posing coach. And the pre-judging, to my shock, I saw him flying up there with, of course, not the muscles to even do something like that. So I right away took him under my wings between pre-judging and finale to go back to the 80s style lineup position. And I also remember Samir is talking quite a lot about it and making fun of it. It's absolutely almost more than I think that position up there. I mean, possibly a Phil Heath can pull it off, but that's pretty much it. You know, it just doesn't look good with anybody.
No.
True.
To me, the height of your arms should be dictated by the size of your lats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You breathe in and lift your lats up. That's where your arms stop. You know, you don't keep lifting your arms up.
That's right.
You see a lot of, I mean, you see so many, not just bodybuilders either, men's physique guys. They're bad. They literally walk out with their elbows up. It's just anything. I think it shows lack of back development.
Right, exactly.
It highlights the fact that they don't have lats that go all the way up to their arms. You know,
right.
Craziness. But also, don't you think, Jean-Pierre, tell me what you think of this, and Francois, a lot of the guys now, they hit the side chest, and the squat so low down, and they like grope their own leg all the way up to make sure they're tensing it, and then they hit the side chest. I just think it looks, I don't know. I mean,
it's
don't
hard
get me wrong.
Hard to explain to them.
The big thing is, not everybody should pose the same. Like back in the 80s and 90s, you could literally identify a bodybuilder by looking at one body part, the bicep or the calf, and you could saw a silhouette of that person just stood on stage. You could identify him. I don't think you can do that now.
No.
I remember the 83 Olympia. I think we only saw the silhouette first before they came out.
Yes, exactly.
But then you knew right away who it is, you know. On
the 1983 Mr. Olympia was the first Olympia I've seen. So I drove from Switzerland in my small car, and I slept on the parking lot outside the Olympia Stadium in Munich.
Yeah.
And then, like Jean-Pierre said, each athlete would be presented and you would see only silhouette. So you would see, you know, Fox, and then you knew exactly that was Bertil Fox.
Yeah.
And then when Samir came out, and he hit this beautiful arm, you know, like extended arm front shot. I mean, I got chills, you know. And then when he posed, I knew he was going to win. The audience was for Fox, who was massive and brutally hard, but he didn't know how to pose. He was hitting those most muscular shots one after the other, and those side chests, but it was not very at ease, and he was just hitting the same poses over and over again. As for Zain or Mohammed Makawi, and Banu, were posing with elegance and grace and beauty, you know.
I think I watched
that was a great show
1,000 times. I knew every single piece of commentary and every single athlete. Yeah, I can picture it now.
Yes,
absolutely. That's when you just get it on VHS and watch it again and again.
Yeah, I wore the tape out. But you know what? That backlighting and showing the silhouette, that left an impression on my mind, because even now, when I first look at athletes, I kind of blur my eyes and I just try and see the silhouette before I start looking at individual muscles. I want to see what that silhouette looks like if I'm judging, because I think that's a huge part of bodybuilding, personally.
absolutely. Yep. You can judge the symmetry of somebody in a few seconds by looking at the silhouette.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, you're kind of distracted by the muscle groups that pop out, and then it takes away from the symmetry. Yep.
Yeah, I agree totally. But yeah, the lighting. I think the lighting back then, there was a lot more thought put into the actual lighting to enhance the physiques, rather than lighting a stage to show sponsorships or whatever. You know, that's one big thing that we do when we run our PCA shows. We try and make sure the lighting is absolutely perfect. We get athletes out on stage, and it's at the end of the day, it's about the bodybuilders, right? It's all about the athletes. It shouldn't be about the anything else but the athletes, and you should allow the athletes to showcase themselves perfectly. You know, I hate it when you see stages where they've got like a picture of a bodybuilder behind the bodybuilders. That's so frustrating to me, because how can you look at that picture and assess that physique clearly? You know, again, I always go back to the '83 Olympia. When you saw that black silhouette, that right there is bodybuilding. That's what it's all about. And you should allow an athlete to showcase that without too many distractions or 20 different banners, advertising supplements or whatever behind them. It should be just a clean line, so you can see that bodybuilder, and that bodybuilder is the star of the stage when they're on it.
I agree with you.
This year's Olympia was the worst in that regard. You know, I remember when we talked to Lenda about it when she was at the show. I almost had a headache. You know, there was so much going on.
Right?
Yeah. And at least for the pre-judging, just drop the black curtain. And I understand that you might, for the posing round, you might show all this stuff and the design of the stage, but not for the pre-judging. It just has to go back to more simple. I remember the Redondo Beach Classic, the great pictures coming out of that show, because they always had a very simple background. And so, yeah, I hope she has said to us that she know that she's noting it, and we'll see if anything changes. I'm afraid not.
Yeah,
probably not, but it should.
Yeah.
We
can always have her on again. Make sure we ask her again. Have you guys seen? I mean, change the subject. Well, it's not really changing the subject. This guy out of Russia, the 25-year-old Vitaly. I can't pronounce his last name. Let me show you this guy's picture.
I think I've seen a picture of him. He's huge, right?
He's leaving. It's called the Elite Federation over there. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, it's an IFBB Elite, right?
Yeah. Check this guy out. He's going to the NPC, and obviously he's probably going to do one show and go straight to the Olympia. Probably the one NPC show that I'm going to do. He's going to be there.
He's amazing. No, he's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Yeah, he's a big boy.
25 years old.
Never seen him. Wow.
Show some of his.
before I see a YouTube video, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
You know something though? I think those quads are too big.
Those are
I
real.
don't care how great the pictures are. I want to see,
There's
you know,
some
I
stage.
want to see the video, and then I come on board, but not before that.
Show some stage. There's some stage shots with him competing against other athletes.
I'd like to see him on stage.
I have
Yeah.
him. I have him on Facebook. Let me see if he
But
has any. He posted.
That guy from Korea, who is trained by Milos, always looks like a god.
Yes, you're right.
Just okay at best.
Yeah.
Hmm. If he's
I have
got any-
one. I have one physique athlete. He works with computers, and every time he does the pictures, I say, stop doing that. You know, he makes his midsection so small.
That's him in the center there.
Well, he is sure good, but not
Yeah.
like the
Not like that photo we saw.
Exactly.
It's not like that photo we saw at all.
The lineup he's standing. The people he's standing next to don't look like the top tier IFBB guys. I mean,
No.
No.
so I mean that'll make your eye. That'll make him
Yeah.
look even better based on who he's standing next to.
Again, look how busy that is. How can you concentrate on the athlete?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't.
He's not what he's, yeah. He's impressive, but not like that photo.
Not like that photo, huh?
No, not at all. So that had to be exaggerated, blown up. I don't know how they cheat, but
Mhm.
I've seen it done.
people do it with my pictures, and I get so upset. You know, I mean, I really get upset.
Right.
I can't stand it when they do that. And
What,
Yeah,
you
it's
mean
like-
like Photoshop it to make you look better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they can-
Rounder, fuller.
one of my physique athletes, you know, he is relatively blocky, and then he posts those pictures where he looks like Jeremy Bunya, and I told him, stop doing that. You know, I will not even freaking coach you anymore if you keep doing that, guy.
Mhm.
And he's like, what? Whoa, what would you talk about? I said, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know,
Well, like we said the other week, don't you think it's a letdown? It's like back in the olden days, I guess you call it. You'd see the magazines and you'd hear about people, and then when they walked out on stage, it'd be a shock. Nowadays, when people are posting pictures like that, they walk out on stage and it's a disappointment. It's a letdown.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Ian, I got a funny story for you.
Yeah.
And this is about Brian Buchanan. My
Oh,
training
wow.
partner was from England. We were at Go's Gym. We had an apartment 1 block down the road. He showed me a picture of Brian Buchanan when he won the Mr. Britain as a junior.
Yep.
And he was hitting a front lat spread and a front double bicep. And I said, that's not a real picture. I said, someone cut scissors and right. We'd be arguing about that. I told him someone cheated on that picture.
Brian had a legitimate 29-inch waist. I mean, Brian Buchanan, he was one of my idols growing up.
Yeah.
Because he won the NABBA Junior Britain, and then he went on to win the Mr. Britain the year after, I believe. And I heard, I wasn't there because I was too young, but I heard that he walked out on stage, hit 3 poses and walked off stage for his posing routine. That's how clear cut it was, that he was just so far ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him when I was 20, and I said, I that's not a real human being. I said, if it is, I quit. I'll just go back to Kansas City.
Yeah, incredible genetics.
Oh man.
Yeah, incredible.
Wow.
If he could have ever got his legs to anywhere closely matched up a body, it'd have been lights out for everybody.
yeah.
Now, Francois, do you hear from him anymore? Does anybody hear from Brian?
No, I've tried to find out where he lives, and I think he lives in Australia, in Perth.
I heard he moved back to London.
Oh, okay. I
So-
didn't know that.
Yeah. And there was a picture of him on the internet, and he was huge. I mean,
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
I saw that too. Yeah.
who knows if that's a real photo or not, but it was his face.
Okay. All right.
I don't.
Yeah, I remember when he was in my gym, I organized a little seminar with him, and he was answering all the questions, and he was so nice, and he had so much patience, and he stayed for a few hours, you know. And then the question of his tiny waist came up, you know. So one person asked, you know, Brian, if you could give us an advice on how to, you know, have such a small waist, what should we do? And Brian laughed and said, choose your parents.
I met his mother. I stayed in his mother's flat in 1989, and I met his mom.
Okay.
So
and
yeah.
Did she have a tiny waist?
Well, you couldn't tell then. She was elderly. She wasn't doing very well. Actually, she wasn't doing well at all. She basically stayed in bed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I stayed in the flat with him, got to know his niece and a few of his cousins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but so you really couldn't say. And I think his dad was either they were divorced or he passed away. I can't remember what the story was with his father.
All right.
Brian was guest posing on my second bodybuilding show in Lucerne, actually, the Grand Prix of Lucerne. He was one of many guest posers. There was Rich Gaspari, Lee Haney, Rick Valente, Anja Langer, and name with, I think, a lady with the name of Lupita Lugo. And I remember I was very, very impressed by Buchanan. I was very, very impressed by him. And I was far more impressed by him than by Rich Gaspari. So, yeah, it was incredible. I mean, think about a bodybuilding show with 6 guest posers, 7. That's probably thinkable for today, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
You don't see that.
In my first bodybuilding show in 1980, it was the WABA Mr. Switzerland. And then we had also a bunch of guest posers, and they were famous. We had Serge Nubret and his wife, Jacqueline Nubret. She was a lawyer, and she had an incredible figure. And they posed together, and it looked great, it looked beautiful. And then there was Salvatore Ruiz from Spain.
Salvador Ruiz, yes.
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 And there was Ahmet Enunlu from Turkey.
Right.
Great.
He was very good too. And then Tony Pearson posed too. And there was another one. So yeah, it shows you in the 80s, you know, there were not one guest poser, but 5.
Right. Do you know if WABA still exists?
Sorry?
WABA? Does it still exist?
WABA? I'm not sure. I don't know.
Okay. That was Serge Nubret's organization. He started.
Yes, he founded it in the 80s, early 80s, I guess. Yes.
Early 80s, yeah.
Or late 70s.
Man, late 70s perhaps, yeah.
Yep. It was a worldwide organization, and Kawak.
Eduardo, yeah.
Eduardo competed there, you know, and I think even Samir did a few shows.
You may have, yeah.
In the
Did you ever
WABA.
compete with NABBA, Francois?
Oh, NABBA.
Did you ever compete with NABBA?
No, I never. No.
No.
I've heard that, you know, the NABBA universe was actually legendary, you know.
Sure.
And it was like, wow, the best title you could get. But I was in Switzerland. We had no organization except for the IFBB and the WABA. So I competed in those 2.
The NABBA Universe was an incredible show. They were the first big shows I went and seen. I seen Tim Belton up there. A guy called Sammy Ioannidis from Australia was an incredible bodybuilder.
Yes.
My second big win was the Junior Mr. Universe, the second time that I'd done a junior division, and I won that. That was my last NABBA show. But yeah, well, that was a lot of history with that show. A lot of history.
NABBA was the first Miss Universe.
Yeah.
Before the IFBB.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they started it off. Sean Connery actually competed in the NABBA Universe.
Yeah, he did.
Yes.
Bill Pearl won that year.
Yeah. Sean Connery competed.
Yeah.
with NABBA
I don't think he
a lot.
competed that much, did he? Did he compete that much?
Sean Connery?
Yeah.
No, I think just once or twice.
Yeah, they said that he didn't
Yeah.
like being called a bodybuilder. He kind of like
Really?
yeah, that was the kind of the story they were. I think
Well,
John
I saw the
Hansen was
pictures, it
talking
really
about.
wasn't.
Maybe.
Yeah, the NABBA universe. I mean, Eduardo Kawak. I saw Eduardo compete many times.
Yeah.
And that guy just had muscle on muscle on muscle. I mean, he was you couldn't find, you know, look, you normally see like a weakness on a bodybuilder. You couldn't find a spare space on his body when you looked at him where you could add more muscle. It was an incredible. His quads, his teardrops, and his outer sweep would hang over his knees.
Hang over his knee. Yeah.
Just incredible. He inspired me tremendously when I was a junior.
Yeah. He did all of us. Yeah. Eduardo Kawak was something else.
Amazing.
Yeah. Amazing guy.
Yeah, when I came up, I think the NABBA and the IFBB universe, they were both on about similar levels. I remember Charlie Claremont.
Yeah.
And other than the Mr. Olympia, which was even above that, both federations were fairly equal.
Yeah, they were.
And, yeah, I don't know exactly what happened to that federation.
It's still going.
Still
In fact, a very, very close friend of mine called Eddie Elwood that I competed against in NABBA when I was a junior. He was a mister. He runs the federation now, and we're going to actually have him on the show.
Yeah, you're supposed to.
I guess
you're supposed to get
posed
him
for
on.
his father. Eddie's father, I guess posed for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Terry, in fact, Eddie came over to Florida right before the pandemic, and I drove over there and met his son. He's got a new son. He's got a young son now, as maybe I think he's maybe 8, 9.
Wow.
And his mom Sherry. Yeah, we go back up. People used to think me and Eddie were brothers because we look so alike.
Yeah.
Big guy. Yeah, me and Eddie go back a long way, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
In fact, I think they're doing a documentary about his life story now.
Wow.
Because he
cool.
did a lot of. He started out as a boxer, but he runs the whole federation now.
He runs NABBA completely.
Say that again.
He runs NABBA.
He runs the international side of NABBA. Yeah.
The
So he's in
international
charge of
side.
the universe, and yeah, he's the guy that is very ethical. Eddie's a very he's got very high morals. He won't put up with any underhandedness or bad judging. You know, they actually judge the judges, which is a great thing, I think.
It is.
But yeah, NABBA's still around. NABBA's still going good. It's,
Wow.
I have a lot of great memories from competing in NABBA. That's when I think I probably enjoyed my days competing in NABBA more than any other days. It was when it was pure and not political anymore, you know, how it should be.
Yeah.
Right.
You see, they're going to be announcing the Arnold tomorrow. You see that?
The Arnold Classic, you mean?
Yeah, they're announcing the competitors tomorrow.
All right.
Who all got the invites and stuff.
What's the date on that? Do you know?
Going back to March, I believe.
March, yeah. It's in March.
Okay, so that's not that far away.
No.
Yeah.
No.
That
was always jump here. It was an honor to get to compete in that show, because I don't know if you remember, but when we were competing as pros, you'd put down the shows that you wanted to compete in, and the Arnold was invite only.
Invitation.
You only go and compete in the Arnold if, I guess, Arnold thought you were going to be a crowd draw, that you were actually worthy of competing in the Arnold. So only the best of the best were selected to compete at the Arnold. So
has that changed?
Yeah, I think it changed. I think now actually I don't think you even have to qualify to compete in the Arnold. I think anybody can compete in the Arnold.
It's invite only, right?
Invite only still.
Is it still invite only?
It's still invite. Yeah.
I don't think the other classes are.
No.
I might be wrong.
No. They were talking about some guy that's doing the Arnold Amateur that's predicted to win, and they think he's going to come and do the Arnold and win. What was the guy's name? You know what I'm talking about?
Think about my first Arnolds, the competitor field. Yeah. Kenny Leveroni, Flex Wheeler, Paul Dillette, Vince Taylor, Sean Ray, Andy Munzer, Porter Cortrell, Roland Churlock, myself.
Oh, piece of cake.
96, right?
96. I was there, yes.
Yeah, because I competed against you, Gene, a week later.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, San Jose.
I did the Arnold. My first Arnold was in 95. And then I did 90, 98 was my last Arnold. That was my last show, actually, the Arnold in 98. That's when I saw Jean-Pierre Nasser and thought, yeah, maybe it's my time.
Same thing. I said, I think I'm done.
Maybe it's time to step out. This is not going to work out very well for me.
You think? Do you think Nick Walker's going to compete again?
He not at the Arnold.
No.
No, I mean, I heard the statement of his coach. He was somebody was complaining or was saying on a comment that Nick, you should compete at the Arnolds, and Matt said we want to see him healthy for a long time, so we're going to focus on the Olympia. So I don't know if you guys saw the newest pictures. I mean, it's becoming quite scary what the guy looks like. I mean, getting into the category, I've never seen anything like it almost, you know.
I've seen a video of him doing tricep press down today, and his forearm and upper arm look like it's just one mass.
Yeah.
You know, it's huge.
I'm coming slowly on board with the guy and believe he will win an Olympia. It's the first time I'm saying that, and I'm not a fan of his physique, you know, but I'm coming on board. And if he is somewhat healthy, and nobody is as ambitious as him, and the guy will follow the plan 24/7, something every coach looks for. And I see him winning in 2 or 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Like you said, if he stays healthy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. We'll see. Yeah, I don't think Ramy's going to hold the title much longer.
Well, I still believe he was way better. Not way better. He was better in 2013, and he's just hanging on to it and benefiting from not having the greatest competition right now, with exception of Hardy and
Curry.
Yeah.
Brandon will never bring the glutes and front thighs up to the level to beat them, except if Ramy is way off. So yeah, I think Nick will take over in 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I think Brandon's about to turn. Is he turning 40? Is he 40 now?
Must be right there. And I'm a huge fan of his physique, but you know, I mean, if those ties would come up, they would be up by now.
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm a fan of Brandon Curry's physique, actually. I think he's the current guys that are out there.
Me too.
I think he's right up there with what I think bodybuilding should be. But I agree with you, his legs do look small when you put them next to somebody, or undersized compared to when you see him at the side of somebody like Ramy.
Yeah.
I wish Cedric McMillan could get it together and get his conditioning right.
He's got a great physique. Yeah.
I think that's bodybuilding. I think that, I mean, he's a huge guy, but he's got such great lines. Such a good guy. I mean, if he could come in and get his conditioning nailed.
He was just talking about some health issues. So
I heard that. I heard he had a heart attack, didn't he, last year or something?
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much done by now. You know.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I was a big fan of a bodybuilder in the 80s, Aaron Baker. And he had such an incredible potential, amazing physique. You couldn't see any flaws, you know, everything was there, but he seemed not to be able to peak like the other guys. And he never won. I don't think he won any big shows, but he could have, because his physique was incredible.
I competed against it. Sorry, go on, jump here. Sorry.
Yeah, he did peak once in Redondo, beating Flex Wheeler, I believe.
Oh, he did?
But,
okay.
But then on the big ones, he kind of, like me a little bit, didn't peak. And I remember every time I went to the gym, I thought he must be the Mr. Olympia.
Me too.
Yeah. He had a gym physique. You know what I'm saying? You see him in the gym, and you see him on stage. If he was in condition, it was the same way. Usually you see some guys in the gym and they're not that impressive. You see him on stage and it's hard to believe. And then it's the opposite too. You see him in the gym and you think, oh, he's going to do some damage. And they get on stage and it's like, that's it.
You definitely do. Right. You have a stage physique and a gym physique, without doubt. I traveled with Aaron quite a lot. We traveled around Germany guest posing at several shows, did a few seminars together. and great guy. And I always remember when I think about Aaron Baker, he was the best dressed guy in the gym. He had everything color coordinated.
Color coordination.
Everything would be matching. From like back then, everything would be matching.
Remember the old the belt thing you used to wear around the waist? What do you call it? You put your money in and your car keys.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, he had that with the tights and the matching tights. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He'd like the shoes matching. I mean, everything was just bang on. Yeah, he was a great guy too. Really incredible guy.
You know what he's doing now, Ian?
Playing guitar. I've seen that on the thing.
Oh, he's a minister.
Minister. Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Up in Seattle.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. I wish I could have stayed in touch with Aaron, but I just didn't. I guess once bodybuilding's over, you think you kind of leave it behind you, don't you?
Yeah.
He was a super great guy. I think even though he might not have peaked, I still think he should have placed a lot higher in a lot of shows he competed in. I think he was badly overlooked.
I tell you what, he went to the WBA.
Yes, he did.
And then when he came back, of course,
WBF, Vince McMahon's federation.
WBF. Yeah.
Of
course, when you come back to the IFBB, you're not going to be treated very good, are you?
Well, and that shouldn't be. It's true, but it shouldn't be.
That's what they do.
Like a lot of the Eduardo Kawak and a lot of the NABBA guys got blackballed in the IFBB because they were NABBA guys, and it's just
exactly.
It really shouldn't happen. To me, bodybuilders should be able to compete in any federation they want, and they should be judged on the day what they look like on that day. And if you're the best bodybuilder, it shouldn't matter if you are against the federation or you speak highly of the federation or you've competed with another federation. They should judge what they see on the day. End of story. That needs to happen, honestly.
Yeah,
it really does. But it's been kind of it's like the whole thing that we said before. To win the Mr. Olympia, you can't just be as good as them. You've got to be so much better than them.
Right.
I don't think that's right either. I think the best guy on the day, even if you're only better by this much, I think you should win on the day. But who am I? What do I know, right?
Yeah. Speaking of the WBF, Ian, I was going to ask you. Did you know Lex Luger? Did you ever see him when you were wrestling?
No, I didn't. No, I never met him.
Because I know he went to the WBF because he wanted to be a bodybuilder, but I don't think he ever competed.
No,
he wasn't big enough to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah,
he just wasn't big enough.
Mm-hmm.
No.
I remember doing when I pro wrestled when I quit bodybuilding. I remember doing an event in Manchester, England, and it was WCW, and they had Scott Steiner, I think, Big Papa Pump, Kevin Nash were backstage.
Yeah, Scott and Rick.
All the wrestlers that I was there with were like, Ian, because I'd always stay covered up. I'd wear sweatshirts and stuff. Ian, take your sweatshirt off. I'm like, no. Ian, and they're all telling me, Ian, this is wrestling. This is not bodybuilding. You can't be humble. You've got to take your sweatshirt off. So I took it off, and Kevin Nash and Big Papa Pump got really pissed off. They stormed out of the cafeteria because it was quite an interesting. I met Goldberg there too.
Yeah,
backstage talking to Goldberg. But that was quite an interesting.
Kevin Nash lives over in Daytona.
Oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, over in Port Orange.
Yeah. But I met a lot of those guys when I wrestled.
Yeah, I was curious.
There you go. That's another story for another day.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
I need to get Eddie Elwood on one of these shows soon.
Yeah. The only problem is he's over in the UK, right? So it's just the time difference. So.
Yeah. I'll reach out to him again tomorrow, and I'll see if we can figure something out before Christmas.
Yeah.
Because Eddie's got some great stories. He's got some really good stories.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to match Francois' stories because I've loved listening to your stuff tonight, Francois.
Yeah, you took us back tonight, man. It was great.
Thank you.
Cool. I had no idea you knew Reg Park like that.
Yeah. What are you doing now, Francois? Are you just retired or what are you doing?
I still train people. I train people. In 1997, I founded the Swiss Natural Bodybuilding Federation, and it was a small federation. It grew quite big, and it is affiliated to the WNBF, which is the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. And there is a national championship every year, and every year I coach some guys and girls from that federation for the championship.
Mhm.
And so for many years, I coached individually, and then I was the head coach for the federation in the States, you know.
Mhm.
But then I retired from that, but I still do the coaching,
Mhm.
and I still enjoy it, you know. I still, when I train somebody who has the passion, then I get passionate too, you know.
Mhm.
So I do counseling, I do online, I do one-on-one,
Mhm.
and
Do you still train? You still training?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
We go to the gym, my wife and I, 3-4 times a week. I do, you know, whatever I can.
Mhm.
Some people say when you're older, you shouldn't train as hard, and I don't see the reason why. You should, I think, always do what you can, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
So of course, what I can now is much less
Mhm.
than I was able to do before.
Mhm.
But still, I'm trying,
Yeah.
and I still enjoy it.
Yeah. Now, did
How
you
old are
ever?
Francois?
Go ahead.
Sorry,
How old are you?
I'm 62.
Okay.
Oh, that's young.
Yeah.
That's
Did
not
you
old.
did you have any injuries coming up?
No major things. My shoulders are not good.
Okay.
I don't think I want to have an X-ray done, because I'm sure the surgeon is going to tell me we've got to do that and that and that and that.
Yeah, I'm sure most of
So,
us, if we have an X-ray right now, it probably wouldn't look very
yeah,
good.
I do. Let's say I do laterals with 20 pounds, and that's enough.
Mhm.
So yeah, I lost a lot of strength, and of course, you know, as we get older, we lose muscle.
It's going to happen.
Yes, that's what's happening. And I had actually, I'm very fortunate to be with you guys on that podcast tonight, because I had a very serious health issue in 2019. To make it short, my heart stopped beating.
No.
Wow.
I had a cardiac arrest.
Oh, heart attack.
Okay.
Not a heart attack,
No.
No.
a cardiac arrest. So it's, I mean, from 1 second to the next, you drop like a fly.
Wow.
I was having lunch with my friends, and then it went black.
Really?
And I woke up 3 days later in the hospital. I was in intensive care for a week or so. I spent a lot of time in the hospital, but I came back. You know, I came back, and the reason for that heart problem was actually a blood disorder that I knew I had. It was diagnosed in 2017, and it's a blood sickness that you cannot really cure, but you can keep under control. And the problem is that this sickness has the ability to attack, let's say, other organs. And it did to my heart, and it hardened the walls of my heart. And I had troubles breathing. You know, I felt, you know, shortness of breath a few weeks before it happened. But I thought, okay, I mean, I'm just getting old, and let's not worry about it. But it was a sign. So yeah, it was.
Did you have surgery or bypass or anything like that? Or?
No, what I have now is a defibrillator.
Okay.
Which is implanted under my skin.
Okay.
And in case, which I don't hope, of course, but in case it would happen again, then that little machine would give the signal to my heart to keep beating.
Okay.
That's not like a pacemaker, is it?
No, it's not really a pacemaker. I think it has a pacemaker function in case there would be some irregularities in my heart rhythm, but it's actually the main purpose is to start the heart again if it stops beating. And you have to change the battery every 10 years. And it's quite a beautiful piece of engineering. And I'm glad I have it, because you never know, you know, but touch wood, I'm feeling good. I'm enjoying life. I'm training. I have a beautiful wife and family, and I'm happy. And, you know, I take it day by day and do the best I can to take care of my health. And training is always a big help, you know. Whatever happened in my life, training was always something I relied on to feel better, to overcome obstacles and problems, and you know, even bad mood. Training is like an elixir, a life elixir to me.
Yeah. Francois, you cannot leave here, since we already listened to some of your fantastic stories, without talking about your book.
Oh, yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So actually, I had it next to me. It's right here. It's in English, because you know what? English has always been my favorite language next to French. French is my mother tongue. I was born and raised in the French part of Switzerland. But you know, I learned English reading Muscle Fitness and Flex magazine. My buddies and I, we would translate every article, even the ads. I mean, we would go all out. And this is how I learned English, actually. And my grandfather, who was a very generous man, when I turned 20, he said, you can choose between 20 grand on your bank account or a trip for a year, wherever you want. I said, I want to go to America. So I was on the road traveling in Greyhound buses,
Right.
from city to city. So I went to Florida. I loved Florida. I went to the Caribbean. I loved scuba diving, so I did a lot of scuba diving in the Cayman Islands. I loved it. And then I met a lot of people in Grand Cayman, and they said, hey, come visit us in Houston, come visit us in LA and San Francisco. And so I had all these addresses with people I had met on Cayman Island. So I spent a whole year traveling the country and visiting those friends. And of course, you know, I spent probably half of the year in California, right on the beach, between Gold's Gym, which was on 2nd Street in Santa Monica in those days.
Yeah.
That was the second location. And so, yeah, but I discovered bodybuilding actually during that trip. So, yeah, like I said, English was my you know, the language I always loved. And this is why I decided to write my book in English, because when it comes to technical terms, I think I feel even more comfortable writing English than French, because some French words, when it comes to bodybuilding, sound so strange to me. So I decided to write it in English. So it's called Mind Over Matter. And it describes the story of, you know, that's a story we share. I share with many bodybuilders, you know, the 12-year-old that will see the picture of that bodybuilder in the newsstand and gets this crazy idea of becoming the world best built man, you know. So it describes my journey. And then the second part of the book is more technical, is about nutrition and training, what I do now. And the last chapter is what happened to me in 2019 and how bodybuilding helped me to overcome that challenge, you know. So yeah, it was a great experience to write that book. And it actually motivated me to do a little writing because it's fun, you know, and it's great to be able to pass the knowledge to the youngsters and to inspire them to, you know, to do something out of their lives.
And where do we find it at?
Well, it's on Amazon. So
Amazon, okay.
Amazon.com. You can order it online, and it's quite a thick book. It's over 300 pages.
Wow.
There are some pictures, and there's a great foreword of Jean-Pierre, which I'm very proud of. And by the way, I will see Jean-Pierre in about 10 days, I guess, the 27th, yeah, for dinner, and he will get his copy.
Nice. Nice. Is there anything in there about rack pulls?
About
rack pulls? Rack pulls. You like rack pulls?
What is that?
I'll let Ian tell you.
So explain
like,
yourself.
Like the half deadlift, the rack pull.
Oh, the rack pull.
Yeah.
No, just regular deadlift.
Yeah. So you don't like rack pulls?
I never did them.
Oh man.
I never did them. I did the old-fashioned deadlift.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Francois.
Oh, because you do, right? You do like them.
No, it's just a little joke we have on the show here.
I see.
I think they're the worst exercise in the world, and I don't know why people do them, and they're always giving me a hard time about it. So
yeah, almost every guest that comes on, I try to ask them about it. Yeah,
I used to love deadlifts.
Yeah, I used to deadlift a lot. Not anymore. That's all I got, guys. I'm not going to do questions tonight. I think I'll save them for next week. So I only had a couple. Has anybody got anything else?
I can just say thank you so much.
No, thank you
for having me on your show. And
yeah, we'd love to have you back again too.
Oh, anytime.
Okay.
Hey, Francois, are you on Instagram or do you do Facebook?
Yes, I am on Instagram. I am on Facebook. I'm not too familiar with those social medias, but I do my best to, to stay. But yes.
How would I find you on Instagram?
Yes.
What's your?
That's a good question.
Your name on Instagram? How do you?
Let me see if I
I think you. Yeah, Jason, help me. Can you find me?
I got you here. Hold on.
I just friend requested you. I just start following you, Francois.
I think you just put my name and then.
Francois Gay, natural Mr. Universe.
I got you right here.
All right.
Right here.
That's the one.
All right.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'll look you up. I'll find you.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil.
Oh, no problem.
You see my wife here? Come back. Okay.
Right here?
Here she is.
Yeah.
Right
That's
here.
Valeria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very nice. Now, is this your hometown here where you're at?
No, this was at the Red Rocks in Las Vegas.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Hey, if you're ever in Ventura, California, do you know Ventura?
Yes, I know Ventura.
I'm living there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would be great to, we're great to see you.
Yeah, let's do.
Absolutely. Would be an honor.
Meeting you, Francois. Absolute pleasure.
Me too, Jan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was great having you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
All right, gentlemen. Well, have a good evening.
Ready.
You guys.
All right.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys.
Enjoy your Christmas shopping.
Yeah.
Yes, we will.
All right.